change what's been and gone. May your smile.
Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Black and White Reviews. My name is Lee.
My name is Will.
And today we're going to talk about the, oh geez, I don't have anything pulled up
2004 movie, The Butterfly
2004,
Effect.
The Butterfly Effect. I am happy we're finally talking about this, because this was on my list of things to talk about since we started this.
So,
Because in 2004, I saw this movie, I'm like, this is such a great movie. Mainly because I like anything that has to do with time travel. You might not want to call this movie time travel, but it is.
no,
It
yeah,
really is.
yeah.
It is. It's a biological time travel.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. I think that's what's cool about it. It really is. You don't have to worry about machines. It's all about, like, the psychological, somehow, some dude, I mean, whatever, spoilers aside, somehow some dude can look back to his past and somehow change it.
Sure.
And then, like, it changes where he is, it changes the outcome and what's going on around him. I'm like, it's like Back to the Future on steroids, because at the end of Back to the Future, you see, like, you know, Marty comes back and his parents are different, his brother's different, his sister's different, Biff's different, like, all these things are different because of the changes he made. But this movie is that on steroids because he does it again and again and again and again. There have been more movies like this after this movie came out, but I feel like this one was the first one that had multiple changes throughout, and you got to see, like, I mean, that's what the Butterfly Effect is about, right? I mean, look at the story, The Sound of Thunder. Sound of Thunder was done by who wrote Sound of Thunder?
I haven't even
For
heard
some
of this
reason,
movie.
no, not the movie. The book. I'm almost saying it's who wrote it? Come on.
I have no idea.
Sound of Thunder. There was a 2005 movie about it. Book. Ray Bradbury. I'm thinking Rudyard Kipling. Ray Bradbury wrote A Sound of Thunder, and it's basically the butterfly effect. You go back into the past, and you step on a butterfly, or, you know, and everything changes. You step on a plant, everything changes. Homer Simpson did it. We talk about that with the toaster. Remember, he goes back and he sneezes and all the dinosaurs go, oh, this one's going to cost me. Like, that was the whole joke on A Sound of Thunder. So this movie, The Butterfly Effect, is the same idea. A butterfly's, you know, wing can affect, you know, it could create a typhoon halfway across the world because of one little thing that builds and builds and builds like a snowball. And that's the idea that they're kind of getting at here. But A Sound of Thunder was really cool. It was like people went back in time and they had to stay on this track. You know, this track that was going out. But if they stepped off of it, they could, like, change one thing that would just destroy the reality they knew in their present time. And this movie kind of does that too, but, like, to a totally different degree. And whatever you think about Ashton Kutcher or Amy Smart or what's his face there? Eldon Henson, who we know him as Foggy from Daredevil. I know him as Penubs from Idle Hands, and, you know, among other things. Like, honestly, I think they all nailed it. I think they nailed the characters, and this movie has always been one that I'll look back. And it was funny. I rewatched it for a while. I'm like, man, this didn't age well, you know. But then as I finished it, I'm like, you know what? It still kind of stands the test of time. It didn't age well because, like, we're looking at these things and we're like, oh, this is ridiculous, it's ridiculous. But I think the only reason why it seemed like it didn't age well is because the times have changed of the reality he's living in. But the reality of the story is still, like, it's a really good story.
It's a
like,
really good story, yeah.
Imagine if this is a real situation where somebody could biologically go back and change the outcome that like affected their life.
Sure.
You know, and you've got the whole thing with the hemorrhaging in the brain, you know, like memories are coming and going, and it's just like it affects him and everybody around him. But then you get the ultimate question of, is he creating, this is all time travel stuff, is he creating alternate realities, or is he really changing life, you know? Is it alternate realities that we're just following him, so therefore we're seeing another branch, you know, or is it like this is just reality because he's the only person in this world that has this power. And that's why time travel's not possible.
I think that
So-
I mean I'm gonna go with the latter of what you said. I think it's the branch.
Yeah.
It's clearly the branch.
It's a new branch. Every time
Yeah.
he does it, it's a brand new branch.
yeah,
And we're
that's,
just following.
That's kind of that's kind of the side that I'm on.
Yeah.
You got more, or can I?
No, that's all I want to say.
All right, so I agree with you. This movie did not age well. I think the concept of it is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Normally here we are outspoken about no remakes and I think this would be a good remake. Make it a little bit more modern, up the technology so you can do a little bit more with like the hemorrhaging and certain CG parts that are in the movie, and have better actors and actresses who are kids, because that's the part of this movie that really didn't age well for me, was the kids and the teenagers. Horrible acting across the board. Was not great. Very monotone, very forced. I think in certain parts you could tell that they were clearly reading from like a teleprompter or some cue cards. Like, they did not do a good job with the child actors and actresses in this movie. But like I was saying before, the concept is fantastic, and just the idea of, I think it's a really good allegory for, and I'm gonna bring it back up again. I think it's a good allegory for the internet. Like, sensory overload is toying with everybody's brain. Like, we were not meant to take in as much information as we are. And we're not seeing the side effects of, well, some people are, but we're not seeing like the overall side effects of that yet. But I think it's, it'll happen to everybody. It'll happen to everybody. Just with the way that people are on the net, with the way that they're reading, with the way that they're taking information, it's way more than it was before. And there's definitely going to be some like long-term neurological damage. I like that this movie did that, before the boom of the internet. I think it's a fantastic idea, and that kind of goes into the reason why I would like to see this movie done again. I would like maybe a little bit of a different spin on it, but stick to the story. You got this guy who essentially like has this power to use his brain to effectively change whatever timeline he's on. I think that's very unique. I think that's very, very unique. Ashton Kutcher, it wasn't bad. He wasn't bad.
Considering what he was known for at that
Kelso.
day and time.
Yes.
He was Kelso. That was it.
Yes.
I don't even think, when did Dude, Where's My Car come out? After this? Or before this?
I think it came up before this. I think it came out.
Yeah, so Dude, Where's My Car and Kelso. He was Jesse and he was Kelso. That was it. So going from those two characters to this, I mean, you have to hand
2000.
Yeah.
2000.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with that too.
You have to hand it to him here.
Yeah, I give him all the credit in the world for doing this role.
I was very impressed when I first saw it, and I still say today, I'm like, you know what? I wish he went more this direction, because
So
to
do
me,
I.
This was kind of like seeing Jim Carrey in Eternal Sunshine.
The potential for Ashton Kutcher in this movie is there.
Yeah,
you can
absolutely.
tell when he plays this you can tell when he plays this part, in this character, that he hasn't nailed it yet, but if he keeps going, he could.
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%.
And
Wow.
I feel like after this movie, he did like what, Killers, and a couple of other things, but nothing really touched this level of seriousness.
Right.
Everything else is more like a satirical kind of joke, if it got to, or like Just Married, or any of those other things. Yeah, I think Just Married was like the year next.
Yeah,
after that.
it looks like after this he went the rom-com route. No strings
Right.
attached, Your Place or Mine.
Yeah.
It looks like he kind of went down that road, and he replaced.
What Happens in Vegas was one of them.
No. He replaced Charlie Sheen on 2.5 Men. There at the end there, so he went back to TV, but yeah, that's the different stories there. But anyways,
Yeah.
I think it would
Yeah.
have done him good. I think he should have kept going. I think he should have tried on different roles, tried doing new things. Clearly in this movie, he is trying to shake the reputation of Kelso. Like he's
Absolutely.
he's trying really hard to shake off that stink. There's one part in, it doesn't always work, because there's one part in the movie where he's doing a thing and he's, you know, immature about it. Like there's like, I'm talking about like the frat boys.
Yeah,
like that whole
exactly.
thing. He's slipped right back into Kelso
That's the
with
plan.
that. Yeah.
Exactly. That
That's
exact
bad.
scene.
That was bad. Yeah.
But he was trying to play a character that was dumbed down from him, because he was recognizing he was a dumbed down character. It's kind of like it was a dumbed down character for him. Whatever.
This is a dumbed down origin story of a superhero.
Sorry you're not here, Chuck. We miss you. We love you.
You would have liked that one. Go ahead.
No, that's really what I was going to agree with you there. Like, there's a few parts where he gets to kind of play a slightly different version of his character, which we will get more into it there. But like he starts off as like it's him, it's still him, and then it's still him, and then he's like in a position where it's like, I don't know who I'm supposed to be. Let me pretend to be this person that people are expecting me to be. And then even people call him out, like, you're acting different, you're walking different, you're talking different. He's like, what? You don't like the way I walk?
Yeah.
But he's like, he's still trying to walk that out. And it's interesting, and I think, again, without going into too many details here, we do see as he's going through things, we do see that he's losing memories and he's gaining memories. But he never really loses those memories, does he?
No.
I think we're seeing that.
I think that's an editing mistake. I think showing
Yes.
the effects of the prior memories, like kind of moving in
Being
reverse and
imploding.
fading away. I
Yeah.
think that's an editing mistake.
I think so too.
Okay. Yeah, we're
It
on
would
the
make
same page
sense
with
because
that one.
if we're talking about hemorrhaging, it would be more like there's too much going on. That's why
There's
his
too much-
brain
yeah.
is. So,
Yeah.
because we know that he remembers everything. Because as we see it, he remembers all the things that have happened,
Yeah, but
even when they get taken back.
And the problem with that is the effect of things moving backwards in his head alludes to him losing those memories. Like, I
Right.
think that's
So-
and
so-
it doesn't. Yeah.
I'd say that's the biggest issue with the movie is the way that it's edited there. But I mean, that doesn't affect his acting. The thing is, he's
No.
still acting is like it's the way they edit it. But you know, he's going through it and he's learning it all these things. But he's still like there's a few times where he's trying to pretend to be the person that he thinks he needs to be in order to live in that reality. And there is one reality that he really just goes, well, you know, you just talked about it. I guess this is it. I'm just going to pretend to be it. But he can't because it's not his reality.
No.
And then eventually he gets to a point where, you know, he can't live in that because of an action that he
Yeah,
you know,
things
does.
happen there.
And
Things
it's like,
happen there.
okay, well, whatever. Honestly, I think it really plays out well because he gets to a point where it's like, this is close enough, you know, like Homer Simpson with you know the lizard tongues. Well,
Yeah.
whatever. I can eat these donuts fine.
It
you know,
is what it is at that
and,
point,
and I'm
yeah.
always going to compare it to that Homer Simpson situation. It's like, well, this is better than what I had, so if this is the best I'm going to find, I'll just deal with it.
Sure.
Oh, what was it? Donut? What's a donut? Ah! And he runs away, and it's like, oh, it's raining again, and donuts are coming from the sky, and he already left.
Yeah.
You don't remember that?
Vaguely.
Yeah, it was a Treehouse of Horror. But you
Okay.
don't remember the toaster episode? He fixes a
Oh,
toaster.
yes,
and the
yes,
toaster
yes,
keeps sending him
yes,
back in
yes,
time, and it's the
yes.
full
Yes.
butterfly effect, full
Yeah.
Sound of Thunder effect.
Yeah.
And he comes back to one, and everything seems great. They're all really nice to him, and he goes, "Marge, would you please hand me a donut?" And she goes, "Donut? What's a donut?" And he goes, "Ah!" And he runs
Yeah.
back down to the basement and goes away. And as soon as he goes away, you just see, oh, it's raining again, and this donut's falling from the sky. So he totally missed the perfect world.
Yes. Yeah. Fantastic.
Anyway,
So,
it was just such good comedy. I love it.
another thing that I want to bring up, and it's kind of a praise. Amy Smart playing depressed, playing pristine, playing the junkie. Fantastic. How she fit into all of those roles. And you
Every
know what?
one of them.
Yeah, you wouldn't think
Everyone.
it. You wouldn't think it to look at her. You wouldn't think it to look at her that she was capable, especially not the junkie in this movie. You
No.
would not.
Oh,
you would not. No,
so
not at
good.
all. It was fantastic. I'm still surprised to this day that she was able to give that level of performance. Because
I'm surprised she didn't do a lot after this. Like I think mirrors this Rat Race road trip. Like
yeah,
and I'm like, but what else? Not much.
very true.
I mean, at least not much that hit mainstream. Like I don't remember it.
No, and
It's
this
sad because
this
she
should have
really
been-
did nail them all.
this should have been the role that propelled her career. Like this should have
Yeah.
been the role where it's like she is actively like transitioning away from whatever she was doing before that, probably rom-com stuff, or like just like, you know what I mean, into something
Yeah.
a little bit more challenging, because playing these three characters for her must have been a challenge. I mean, it's the most wild swing in the movie. Because what they got the other guy Lenny, who they keep going back and see, and he's like in a catatonic state, or he's just repressed a whole bunch of memories, or he's just quiet. Doesn't really take a whole lot to do that, and that's
No.
I'm not knocking on the guy, but it really doesn't. And even with the character of Tommy, he's either crazy or he's a Christian. Again, really not all that difficult to go back and forth between roles,
No.
because at the end of the day, all he did was change his hairstyle from one thing to another, and it's like, oh yeah, now you look clean again.
Yeah.
Amy Smart is
Straighten me out
Yeah,
a little bit. Like,
that-
she was
that-
like
yes,
really into it. I
yes.
was like, wow.
yeah.
Wow.
She felt
And-
every bit of that. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Her performance in this movie is nuts, and I'm with you. I'm
Yeah.
surprised that she didn't do a lot
Rat
more.
Race. That was the other one. Rat Race.
Rat Race, okay. Oh, she
Yeah,
was
Rat
in
Race-
Crank. She was in
Crank.
Crank.
You're right. She was in
She
Crank.
was his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
But that was
at the
that was
cafe.
such a forgettable role in that movie. It's
Yeah. No, absolutely.
yeah.
'Cause it could have been any blonde. That's the thing. Is any blonde would have
exactly
filled that role.
Any blonde would have.
and that's
would've-
and that's the
yeah.
sad thing. You know, Amy Smart. So if you're hearing us, Amy Smart, we miss you. Come back and make some real stuff again. Like,
Yeah.
just do it because we want to see it. You killed it. You crushed it.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I think the reality is this
from her
because of the
IMDb.
cast.
Let me one more from her IMDb. It just looks like she's been doing a lot of the indie stuff. So
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. The reality is this. This movie came out and you said what, 2004? Yeah, it's right here,
2004. Yep.
2004, nobody was looking for real movies. Nobody was expecting real movies in 2004. This movie fell under the radar, I feel. I feel like I saw this movie and I talked about it with people like, "Oh yeah, that's good." And I'm like, "No, it's like really good. It's a really good movie because it had so much potential." But nobody really stuck to it. And if you look at the two biggest actors, which are Ashton Kutcher and Amy Smart, that's it. Those are the two biggest actors in this movie. Nobody took them seriously. So nobody took this movie seriously.
Right.
So people didn't give it a second,
Yeah.
a thought to go into it.
Yeah.
And they have made sequels to it. They made at least 3.
Did
I
they
remember
really?
watching this. I watched the second one, and it was like, come on. Like, it was one of those things where you're like, it was a totally different dude who just happened to have the same type of thing happening, and you followed his story, and you're like, but no. Like, you don't keep making sequels to this thing that's like, I don't know. This movie, I feel like, needed to be a standalone.
A one and done.
Yeah, one and done.
or
really
or
cool
you know
story.
what? Or you know what? If you want to tell more of the story, and you're like, your heart is set on making a sequel. The easy thing to do is make the sequel about his dad.
Exactly.
I think that would have
make
been
more of a prequel type
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. Because I was interested
or
in
a
that.
sequel about his son. Yeah,
Sure.
Like, but you can't make a movie like this about another dude who happens to be going through the same thing.
Right. No.
And the way
yeah.
they did it was so cheesy. It was so dumb. And you go, you're just trying to capitalize off of an IP that has nothing to do with you. Totally different production company. You know, totally different level of acting. Like, the acting was bad. The video, the way it was shot looked bad. Like, everything was just bad about it. And you're like, this is just a low budget cheese garbage fest. But the first movie, I don't look at this. You could take a cheesy horror film and then make another cheesy horror film.
Yeah.
But take a movie like this, you can't go beyond with this and still make a movie that's going to seem like it fits with it. You have to really keep the same caliber or then go beyond. So everything after this,
True.
it was just dumb. It was dumb. It was a big waste. It was a waste of everybody's time. No offense. No, I guess every offense. Whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm
own it.
sorry. I'm sorry that those of you who put your time into a sequel to Butterfly Effect wasted your time. But I don't know. I would say maybe I need to watch it again because I watched it like a decade ago or whenever it first came out when I was working at Blockbuster Video. But I think about it now and it's like I'm really happy this movie ended the way that it did. One of the 3 endings that happened, which we'll talk about
so
eventually.
I mean, you said before in 2004 people weren't looking for serious movies, and I do agree. However, I think it's a testament to how good this movie is that it kind of stands up even then, because this is the same year The Machinist came out, The Aviator, Troy, I, Robot, like the Kill Bill Volume 2, like all these movies came out the same year. All of these movies, I would say, are much better than The Butterfly Effect, but we still talk about Butterfly Effect, 20 years later. When was the last time anybody talked about The Machinist? Like, I feel like the Butterfly Effect is very much like in the zeitgeist where people are constantly remembering this, constantly talk about it. Not so much for everything else that came out this year, but everything else that came out this year was a little bit better. I don't know how that works. Yeah.
It is really weird because people do talk about Troy. That's an unknown film.
I feel like it was popular.
I've actually never seen it.
I feel like it was popular for it's a good movie. Here's the thing. It's a good movie, but it's just look at Brad Pitt's body.
Look at Brad Pitt. Exactly.
Yeah.
Look at
Brad Pitt's body. That's all that movie is. Like,
and that's the thing, and that's why I never saw it because everybody talked about it, and for me, I guess I was just too much of a hipster. Whereas if everybody's talking about it, I'm just like, maybe I'll see it later.
Yeah.
Butterfly Effect. I might have saw it in theaters. I don't even remember when I first saw it, but I remember. I think the disc I got from Blockbuster. It was a previous rental I got from Blockbuster before I even worked there, which was the best deal. Wait till something's been rented out 70,000 times, and then you buy it for like a fraction of the cost, and then you have it. So it's funny. I put it on. It was like Infinifilm. By New Line Cinema, and I'm like, what is this? Like, can you just play the movie? It was some weird stuff. And it's like, click this for the DVD-ROM special features, and I'm like, DVD-ROM.
Remember when VHS tried to break into the HD market?
Oh yeah,
that was
a rough season. No, not gonna happen.
It was like, what is happening? Why?
I will say this though. I'll say of all the DVDs I had, all the stuff from New Line really tried to push the internet side of their discs.
Really?
having online content that would come with it. So I'll say it because they try to do it here, but one of the ones I remember the most, and I'll never forget, comedy or not, Austin Powers and Goldmember. All right. Laugh, scoff, whatever you need to do. It had content that you could download to your computer and then connect to online. They had one thing where you could actually take scenes from the movie and record your voice over the scenes. They had interactive things, and it was kind of like doing like an acting karaoke, over the actors. And it was one of the funniest things because my buddy Mike, he was a nonconformist. A super nonconformist. So he wouldn't do it to like try to act out the role and play it. He would just say whatever words he wanted to say over the dialogue. So you've got like, Rob Lowe playing Young Number 2, and he goes, "Yeah, I've got constipation and I can't get rid of my massive diarrhea." And so we're watching the movie, and it's all you're seeing is my buddy Mike saying all these lines, and it's fitting in because it's like cutting it up and trying to match it up with the mouth.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, like New Line really tried to step it up and like jump into this new digital market.
Yeah.
Connecting with what the internet could do, and I'm like, wow, like that's actually really cool. I mean, that was the only one. I think it was New Line among all the others I had. Like, I had a lot of DVDs. I remember the first, you know what the first DVD I ever owned was? It was either, it might have been Nutty Professor 2, The Clumps. It was probably the first DVD. Somebody gave it to me. I'm like, what am I doing with this? And they're like, put it in a DVD player. I'm like, what's a DVD player? Like, I don't have much.
I don't. You know what? As much as a digital guy that I am, I still like having a physical copy of something. There's something just like nice and satisfying about opening something up. Like, I have a massive record collection. Yeah. There's something oddly fascinating about opening something up and just like looking at the artwork or pulling out the little booklet and flipping through that to see what it was, or just examining what the cover was and the back thing with the liner notes and all that other stuff. There's something really special about that is really difficult to put into words. It just feels good.
Thank you.
Oh.
You have been ripping on me for having physical copies of things.
I have
aside from records, for the longest time. Now, my DVD library has literally cut in half over the past decade. I'll say that because I literally took them out and threw them away at the dump. Like, I had a whole tote full of DVDs. I'm like, bye-bye. But I did keep a bunch, and I have them in a big book. But I also do have 2 full shelves, like stacked to the brim, full of DVDs. I also have 2 big, giant Rubbermaid totes full of VHS.
Yeah.
Because, like, there are things you can't find. And I will swear to the end of the earth that the Back to the Future DVD and Blu-ray has different cuts than the VHS of Back to the Future 1. I swear Doc Brown responds to Marty in one scene slightly differently. It's a different take. It's a different cut. And I will swear it's just slightly different that not many people would notice.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is, like, you have the old original copies of things.
Yes.
And, you know, if you hold on to them, I mean, we've got people like this. Like, let's think. If everybody had gotten rid of I'm saying of and had gotten, if everybody got rid of the original Star Wars VHS tapes, we would not have the despecialized edition of Star Wars.
Yes.
So, I'm sorry. I'm a purist. I'm going to hold on to what I can.
I guess I'm kind of
because
booming
you never
here.
know.
I guess I'm kind of booming here a little bit, but I prefer the despecialized editions over every single day. I own digital copies of the I have digital copies of the despecialized edition.
I have obtained.
I have obtained.
I have in my possession.
I got through certain means copies of the despecialized edition, and they're fantastic. And yeah, you're right. There's just something. There's something about physical media that just feels good. Now, that's not to say that physical media always had the brightest of ideas.
No.
For example, you go to the movie and you watch something in 16:9. A year later, you get the VHS and it's 4:3.
Either things are cut out or they're oddly squished. I love it. I love it when you're watching something and all of a sudden you see like a
Panavision.
Yeah. Oh,
Panavision.
it's so bad.
I think the classic. So bad. I think the classic is Alien, where what's his name and goes and visits what's his? Oh my God. Ripley.
Ripley,
yeah, when he goes to visit and they have the cat, like the entire frame of him sitting down and her petting the cat is supposed to be all visible for you.
Yeah,
Panavision squished everything. You can barely see either one of their faces, and it's like this ain't it.
It's funny because I remember like later on going like, what's happening here? Like, that's not a camera. That's not a camera doing a pan. Like this is. Later on.
Yeah.
And it's funny to me because if you think about it, this is the reality. There was a technology that came out, television. And when they made television, they didn't make it to match up with movies.
Nope.
Ever. Like they
Nope.
never made it to match
Nope.
up until
Nope.
we finally got
Flat
in the
screens.
late 90s flat screen TVs that were 16 by 9.
Yeah.
And what they had to do at that point is they took the movies and said, let's make them widescreen. So you know what they did? Of course you know what they did. You're watching the movie and you got black and black trying to make sense of it, and you're like, that still doesn't work. Now I got this big flat screen TV and I have to move my chair up front so I can see what's going on because you totally blacked out the top of it.
There's legit,
This video has been formatted to fit your TV
yes,
screen.
yes,
Thanks a lot.
Yes, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. A full half of my screen has black bars.
So when DVDs came out, some of them had the this way for widescreen, this way for full screen.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you know what was really confusing? Does that mean this way down for widescreen or this way up for widescreen? You don't really know.
No.
And I feel that some of the production companies didn't follow the same rule. So there was no rhyme or reason. You just had to do it and be like, does this look like crap? Hold on. Let me press eject for 7 minutes so it finally stops and comes out because DVD players took so long to process anything. Hold on, kids. I'm sorry. I know it's past your bedtime already, but let me wait till this comes out so I can flip it over and you can actually watch the movie. Like, dude, like technology has come a long way.
A long way.
That's why everybody wants to stream now because it's like, I'm streaming it. Does it look like crap? Sorry, we're streaming it.
We're streaming it.
That's how it's
this
going
is
to
happening. This is happening.
This is it.
You know what? You're right. I wonder why they never made a 16 by 9 tube TV. I wonder why. Well, I'm guessing they did. They were probably just ridiculous. Actually, you know what? I think Sony released a widescreen tube, but
Sony
it was so
started
ridiculously expensive that
Sony started doing like the Sony Vegas and
Yeah.
stuff like that. That were like, they're HD TVs, but they were these massive TVs that took like 3 guys to carry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was insane. But the thing is, after what, 40 years of movies coming home?
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
Finally happened.
Like, it's just dumb. It's just
Finally
really,
happened.
well, I mean, not 40 years. I guess 40 years is a stretch. 30 years. Still, the reality is that we had home movies. Therefore, the technology somebody should have like buckled and said, okay, we'll make movies 4:3, or okay, we'll make TVs 16 by 9. Like, it had to happen at some point because why were they thinking like, oh well, we'll just pan it, we'll just pan it in post so we can show people what they need to focus on. It worked before when people wrote a letter and we would highlight the one sentence what they want to see.
Yeah.
No. Stop ruining movies. Just give us the whole movie, please. Anyway, but again, this goes back to what we talked about earlier, which might not even be part of this, is when we were kids, we didn't care about quality.
Nope.
We just wanted to soak it in.
Did not care about
So
quality at all.
we didn't care if it was recorded off of a radio station onto a tape and then duplicated 2 more tapes later. We just wanted to hear it. We just wanted to see it. I would watch movies when I worked at Blockbuster. I'll never forget. I got Revenge of the Sith 2 weeks before Revenge of the Sith was out. You know what I did? I put it on VHS. I have it recorded on VHS off of a DVD.
Yeah.
And I watched it. I'm just like, I've got Revenge of the Sith and nobody else does. I'm great. And you know what happened? 2 weeks later, Revenge of the Sith came out on DVD, and I'm like, I've got crap. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Oh.
No, they didn't. I was gonna bring. I don't know. I was gonna bring up another point about this whole thing, but I completely forgot what it was.
About this movie or just technology?
Technology in general, because the way that we were going back about 16 by 9, 4:3, and DVD. I completely forget. I am having
DVD-ROM stuff.
A moment. No,
DVD-ROM features.
I am having a severe moment. Oh, I know what I was gonna say.
It's called senile moment.
Yes, yeah. We were having the discussion about like, did we care about the quality? Absolutely not. There's further proof. There's further proof of this. If you had a blank cassette tape I'm sorry, VHS tape. If you had a blank VHS tape, there were 3 speeds in which you could record on. There was slow,
SP, EP,
EP,
and SLP.
and SLP, and everybody chose EP or SLP because you could
Absolutely.
fit at least 3
6
2-hour
hours.
movies, 6 hours, and it's the worst looking video.
But nobody cared. We
No
all
one
chose
cared.
SLP.
Absolutely
I could take,
no
my
one cared.
grandmother, dude. My grandmother was the biggest offender. She had an entire I want to say it was like a quarter of her living room was just stacks of all of these VHS tapes with 3 to 4 movies on them.
Yeah.
That she recorded off a TV.
Off a
My
TV.
aunt had the same thing, and I'll never forget this. Now I'm going to share this because it was so great. There was one VHS tape that my aunt had, and we watched it, my cousins and I, over and over again. It was Bean, like the Mr. Bean movie when he comes to America,
Yeah.
97. Rocket Man, also 97. And Mortal Kombat Annihilation. And we would watch those 3 movies over and over and over again. That was the best VHS that my aunt had in her library. And we would watch those movies in succession, just so we would just keep on doing it.
Yeah.
And it's because that's what life was like. We would record movies, and it's like, this is my tape that has this. I'll never forget my dad loaned me a copy of a movie, The Money Pit, with Tom Hanks.
Yes.
Love that movie. It also had on it Back to the Future 1 and a Stephen Wright stand-up special.
Wow.
And as a kid, I'm watching it, I'm just like, Stephen Wright, who's this guy? He's kind of boring. He sounds really deadpan. Anyway, back to the Future. I'd rewind it and watch Back to the Future. Now I watch it, and I'm like, Stephen Wright was an absolute comic genius. And I wish he died, right? Oh, he died years ago,
I think so.
right?
I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
But no, he didn't die, did he? Hold on, look that up. I feel like he died, or he stopped. No.
Oh no,
He was in the Emoji Movie, yeah.
He's alive.
He was in the Emoji Movie, and he was like, not like sadness or depressed or whatever, like that. That was his
wow.
emoji.
You know what?
Yeah,
He
he's
is
not dead.
68 years old, living in Cambridge.
68. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. He's
Yeah.
not dead. He's just
No.
not doing stuff.
No. I don't blame him.
Have you watched his stand-up?
Nah.
Check out some of his stand-up. It's the most deadpan. It's kind of it's almost like his style of joke is almost like Mitch Hedberg, but just
Okay.
deadpan. Like Mitch Hedberg was like, I tried to do this, but then this happened. Yeah, and then move on, whatever. But Stephen Wright said the same exact thing, but he's like, I tried doing this, but then this happened.
Sure.
Anyway, and you would just move on. So it was the same exact type of joke, but just different delivery. So Stephen Wright was an absolute comic genius. I just wish I noticed that as a kid, because I would have really enjoyed that tape. But that's the thing, is like we're in a totally different generation now where we don't have that tape. My wife and I talked about this too years ago. Geez, our kids were like just born. And I remember saying, like, do you remember when there was a Christmas morning video, as a kid, and our dad would set the camera up on a tripod and just leave it there for like 3 hours while
Yeah.
we opened up gifts and then had breakfast and then did this and whatever. Nowadays, everybody's got a phone.
Yeah.
Here's a 3-minute video of this. Here's a 30-second video of that. And I
Yeah.
hate people who do who do a vertical picture, because I'm like, you can't edit that.
You
It
can't
will look
do anything.
horrible.
You can't
It
do
looks
anything
so
with that.
bad.
You can't do anything.
Ugh.
You
Anyway,
can do
I just did a
absolutely
wedding.
nothing
I
with
did
that.
a wedding
yeah.
video recently, and all they gave me were these like portrait style videos, and I'm like, all right, it's gonna look like poop, and you're gonna ask me, why does it look like poop? I'm like, because you gave me a portrait video.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I just went through that myself. My my cousin a couple of years ago went to the funeral of a relative of ours, and he was war vet, World War II style. He was one of them.
Yeah.
So the funeral was a whole big thing, and then you're going to the big cemetery down in Virginia. When you go through the whole thing where you have the guys and they're firing off the guns and everything else and the beautiful service and all that. And I did a pretty good job putting together, only he recorded everything that way. and it was like,
so did you end up just taking the video and blowing it up behind it so it still had
nope,
like, the blurry
nope.
images?
I'm teaching
you
him a
just gave it to
lesson,
him
and
like
I
that?
left it as is. I was like, because he was like, because he asked me
Big
too.
black curtains.
Yes, because
Deal
he
with
asked.
it.
He asked me too. He's like, can we make that fit the screen? And I said no.
This is what you gave me.
He's like, why not?
Thanks.
I'm like, because you're holding your phone like this. And he's like, oh, so there's nothing that you can do. No, this is what it is. You're getting this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I will talk to random people I barely know in church. I'm like, listen, can you just like stop this video and then just like start it this way?
Yeah.
It'll look a lot better. I'm just telling you it will. And they're like, who are you? I'm just like, shh, just do it.
Just do it.
And then I go back to the booth and I get back on like, directing with the camera. I was directing at church today, and it was just it's so funny how much that's like, I don't care, like I'll be a jerk. So today there were two guys at church and they were just like living their best life. They're jumping up right in the middle and just like having a blast. And I walked up to both of them and like, hey, you're the second tallest guy in this building. Can you get out of the aisle so I can get this shot? I'm like, I love you, man. I love your worship, but move. And he moved. And I'm like, just take a step to the left. And he just like actually went all the way up and then like moved completely out of it. I'm like, okay, I didn't ask you to do that. And then I read over to the next guy next to him, like, hey, you are the tallest guy in this building. Can you just take 2 steps to your right? And he goes, oh yeah, no big deal. I'm just like, hey man, just like keep doing you. I'm just asking you to move a little bit. And he just like, he went all the way up and then ran out of the way. I'm like, whatever. Like, I was nice about it, but don't ruin my shots.
Yeah.
Get out of my shot.
Yeah.
Don't be the 2 tallest guys and stand in the worst possible place that you can stand when I'm trying to direct a video.
Yeah.
Like I got 3 cameras out here and you're ruining every shot. Don't do that. Anyway, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
This movie, I really do want to get into it now. I think.
Okay.
we've
Yeah.
talked a
So
lot
we're
about
gonna
it, but
we're gonna transition right into Spillotery, and this is where I'm going to insert Chuck's thing. Bada boom, we're done. It's over. So yeah. Chuck, even though you're not here for this conversation this week, I was wondering if you would just be so kind to transition us into spoiler territory, please.
Of course.
You do such a wonderful job.
So at this point in time, everybody, for the rest of this riveting conversation, find us on patreon.com/blackandwhitereviews for all of our content, extended videos, all of the goodies and the bonuses. We have extra content for Patreon users. You can also find us on all social media platforms as well too. Instagram and YouTube is at Black and White Reviews 1866, and Facebook is at Black and White Reviews. Wow. Follow us on all 3 platforms. With that being said, follow us right now into spoiler territory.
All right.
See you guys there.
Bye, Chuck.